The term time capsule was first officially used in 1937. Although the idea has been used much longer, whether deliberately or unexpectedly. The first organized time capsule was planted in 1879 by a magazine publisher in the USA. This century safe was an iron box filled with important objects of the time. They hoped it would be opened 100 years later. However, as the decades flew by and the location wasn't properly recorded, it was almost lost. But after thorough research, they soon found it just in time for the USA bicentennial celebration, providing some nice relics from the 19th century, including a gold pen accompanied by an inkstand and a book on the Guide of Temperance. There were also a collection of autographs from many notable people and a photograph of then President Ulysses S. Grant. The oldest time capsule in Europe was found in 2020 in Zębice, Poland, but completely by accident. Workers were repairing the spire of an old church when they suddenly found a sealed copper canister within. It was filled with books and other papers dating to the 18th century. The pristine papers confirmed the capsule was placed there on the day the church opened in 1797. It listed all the people involved that constructed and funded the building. The documents showed that at the time the village was called Münsterberg and was part of the Kingdom of Prussia. But curiously, there were other papers included that dated from 1902, along with photographs and coins. These were likely added when the spire was last renovated. The builders were also probably surprised by the capsule, but later also wanted to leave their own memos before completing the repairs. The documents have all been copied, replacing the originals in the spire. And to continue with the tradition, the townspeople placed similar objects from the present day. The northern coast of Canada is a strange place to find a message in a bottle, deep in the Arctic, where there are not a lot of people venturing that way. But one geologist, Paul Walker, placed one inside of a cairn in 1959. A cairn is a pile of man-made rocks that's used as a landmark, and within it, he put a special request for whoever found it. However, cairns are very common and used to mark significant areas. So, unfortunately, Paul's message wasn't discovered for a long time. It wasn't until 54 years later that some scientists discovered it. Overjoyed by finding the message, they learned that Paul was researching the movement of glaciers. His cairn was used to measure the distance to the glacier. In 1959, the distance was about 3 feet. The message requested them to record their measurements, and the scientists were more than happy to comply. The distance had increased to 330 feet. Paul also asked for any information to be passed on to him. His contact details were also included. Unfortunately, it wasn't possible, as it had been too long. But the scientists put the message back in Paul's memory, and even added their own letter for anyone else that finds it in the future. The Detroit Century Box is a time capsule organized by prominent citizens in 1900. In the box, they piled in letters and photos with a lot of attention to the technological state of their city. They wanted to provide a comparison of their time, along with their predictions for 100 years into the future. Upon opening it in 2000, it was found that they expected the population in Detroit to increase significantly. With residents up to 4 million, it was actually a pretty close guess. The population of Detroit at that time was 3.8 million. They also expected that travel will be available through flying machines or some other similar methods. But there were other predictions that were a bit off, where they expected pneumatic tubes would also be used as transport, and that Ontario will one day be part of the USA. But of course, it remained in Canada to this day. In Nebraska, you can find the world's largest time capsule, although it's scheduled to be opened in 2025. In 1975, Harold Davison obtained a massive 45-ton vault and gathered a collection of around 5,000 items to put in it, hoping it will be opened by his grandchildren so they could experience what life was like for him at that time. Once he completed it, he claimed that it was the largest time capsule in the world. However, this title was already taken by another one in Georgia, so Davison built a large pyramid on top, which also kept it more secure. Built in front of his furnishing store, it quickly became a local tourist attraction. It's well known to the entire town, who anticipate the day it's dug up. Most of its contents are unknown, but people are expecting letters from friends and neighbors, providing an insight into what they were thinking and doing in the 70s. There are also records and tapes to show what they were listening to, and for the grandkids, a Kawasaki motorcycle and a brand new Chevy Vega. Or at least it was at the time it was stored. A time capsule in 1981, buried by George Lucas, contains many objects from the Star Wars films, with merchandise and toys of all the main characters, and books showing stories and footage from the franchise. Although there's no date for it to be opened, they would like it to be opened in about 1,000 years. It will be quite the experience for the people in the distant future. The world will be significantly different. The world of Star Wars will likely be forgotten, unless they make a 1,000th sequel. But for the future people who review the sci-fi technology depicted in the films, will they assume that this was a vault from a fallen civilization on Earth? And as they witness the weird and wonderful characters, they might even think that we had some form of communication with beings from outer space. In Central Park in New York City, you can find Cleopatra's Needle. This tall granite obelisk was first erected in 15 BCE, but was later gifted to the USA in 1881. And for generations, it has stood as the oldest human-made object in Central Park. But little do people know that there's a time capsule beneath it. There's no date arranged to open it. With the obelisk on top, it would make it a difficult task. Possibly the intention is to keep the time capsule there for a very long time. But records state that it contains a US Census of 1870, a dictionary, a complete works of William Shakespeare, a guide to Egypt, and a copy of the Declaration of Independence. The man who arranged the obelisk purchase also placed a secret box in the capsule. As long as the 70-foot-high, 200-ton obelisk stands there, the time capsule will remain unopened. The aim of a time capsule is to preserve objects that will stand the test of time, ensuring they're later discovered. That also provides clues towards cultural meaning and historical significance. Archaeological evidence with the help of technology can also help understand these things, even from prehistoric times. In the northwest of England, an entire village was found in a field near the village of Poulton. It dates back to the Iron Age, when its contents provided some perception of what life was like, with some of the best findings from pre-recorded history. Several houses with pottery and coins helped us understand that Poulton has been an active town dating as far back as the 8th century BCE. A further inspection of the pottery reveals they were used to carry salt, which they collected from a mine 18 miles away. Poulton was clearly a wealthy and populous area, thanks to actively trading along a river system. Although finds like this weren't intended to be time capsules, it shows just how the littlest of details can reveal what life may have been like. What would you put in a time capsule that best depicts the present day? Let's talk about cyberpunk, a really cool genre of science fiction that started in the early 1980s. Its pioneer writers were really interested in how technology was changing society, especially with all the digital evolution happening at that time. One of the writers, Bruce Sterling, wrote an introduction to a book called Mirror Shades, which was like a guide to cyberpunk. He said that this genre is all about looking at technology in a new way, not just for science fiction writers, but for regular people too. It's like imagining a world where high-tech stuff and the cool underground culture mix together. The heroes of cyberpunk stories are mostly rebellious people who stand up against big companies and the boring mainstream. They believe in being unique and doing their own thing, even when the world tries to contain their efforts. These heroes are really good at taking things from popular culture and using them to express their own ideas and interests. They also know how to use computers to find out secret information and spread messages that go against the system. These days, cyberpunk themes are seen in more than just literature. You can find their influence in things like movies, video games, and even fashion. It does make you wonder though, could the future truly turn out to be what cyberpunk writers predicted? Truth is, all the cyberpunk literature is packed with mind-blowing technology that might just become a reality one day. Like augmented reality, for instance. Now this might sound far-fetched, but we're actually getting closer to experience AR in our daily lives. I mean, some companies are already offering such devices. Right now, they're mostly used for gaming and entertainment, but soon enough, we might use them for virtual training, education, and even shopping for a new car or checking out a house. Next up, smart clothes. In cyberpunk video games, people are rocking these stylish garments that not only look cool, but also offer some serious protection. We're not quite there yet, but smart clothes are becoming a thing in our world too. You've probably heard of smartwatches and fitness trackers, right? Well, imagine clothing that can monitor your body's movements, suggest healthy habits, and adjust your body temperature. Some fashion brands are already exploring this exciting field. Now let's dive into virtual reality. In one particular cyberpunk story, there's a feature where you can customize your own virtual reality experience. It's like stepping into someone else's shoes and reliving their memories. Now, VR is already pretty amazing in our world. We use it for medical purposes, gaming, and tourism. And here's something even cooler. Imagine being able to feel things in virtual reality. Yeah, it's called haptic technology, and it's being developed to make VR even more immersive. You could use it to control machines, learn in a virtual classroom, or even attend a concert with friends who are miles away. Last but not least, we have artificial intelligence. In a cyberpunk scenario, AI is everywhere, from brain analysis to taxis with intelligent controllers. Now, we might not have all that advanced AI just yet, but we're definitely making progress. You're probably familiar with all those virtual assistants featured on smartphones. Well, imagine them getting even smarter. AI is expected to be integrated into so many aspects of our lives, like fridges that can automatically order groceries when we're running low, self-driving cars, and delivery drones. And hey, AI is already helping companies suggest personalized content based on certain preferences. In the future, it might even help us find the perfect recipe for dinner or recommend the ideal cosmetic product just for us. Then, there's the potential for a brain-computer interface, or BCI for short. In a cyberpunk world, it's like a special connection between our brains and the internet that would allow people to virtually explore using just their minds. In the real world, scientists are already working on developing BCI systems. They can read the signals from our brains and turn them into commands. So instead of using a keyboard or a mouse, we might be able to control objects just by thinking. Right now, these BCI devices are being used in research settings, but someday they could be used to support people. They could help with regaining useful functions and improve rehabilitation. It doesn't stop there, though. BCI could also help professionals like pilots and surgeons. It could make their natural skills even better and help them do their jobs with even more precision. But, there are also some things we need to be careful about when it comes to this cyberpunk technology. In the cyberpunk world, there are serious problems to consider. One of the concerns, for instance, is that if we rely too much on technology, it might start making decisions for us. We might become less skilled at day-to-day tasks because we let the machines do everything for us. That's why we should focus on using our own resources to make our own choices. Another thing we need to watch out for is protecting our information. All sorts of security breaches are already happening all over the world. we need to make sure we have strong measures in place to keep our information safe. Science and technology are moving at an incredible pace these days. It's hard to pinpoint what the future might look like, but you surely have some sort of scenario in mind. Maybe you envision a world where robots and AIs, controlled by a handful of powerful corporations or individuals, dominate the scene with unjust power structures. Or perhaps you picture sprawling cities filled with skyscrapers and flying cars, shrouded in perpetual darkness. And maybe the future seems bleak, where only a privileged few have access to nature, while the rest struggle to make ends meet on a harsh planet. In the cyberpunk world, our planet is either on the brink of a disaster or has already fallen into complete ruin. The stories consistently revolve around dominance and control, whether it's between the rich and the poor, corporations and the market, or humans and the AI robots they create. Cyberpunk is all about systematic and oppressive inequality. It's also about a future where most humans live in a highly mechanized society that disconnects them from the rest of the natural world. In this potential future, all the amazing technologies we've created don't really improve the lives of most people. In fact, they make things worse. It's not all bad, though. Sci-fi can be more than just entertainment. It has a way of inspiring and shaping our real world. Throughout history, designers have drawn inspiration from sci-fi for inventions for things like flip phones, self-driving cars, and even the concept of the metaverse. There are also many interesting alternatives for the future. Ever heard of Solarpunk? It's also a genre of speculative fiction, but one that envisions technology and the environment evolving together. The solar part is all about the power of solar energy, while the punk part puts it in the same awesome group as other sci-fi genres like cyberpunk. So what does Solarpunk actually look like? Well, imagine visually stunning utopias that are all about the environment and being positive. In Solarpunk worlds, they've totally sorted out how to correctly use the planet's resources, or are actively working together to fix it. It's all about coming together and being friends in the fight against a bleak future. When you enter a Solarpunk universe, you'll be greeted by groovy green tech, cities that are super walkable, and tons of lush greenery. It's all about living in harmony with nature, while still rocking the latest technology. It's like the complete opposite of Cyberpunk, which is all about grimy cities, greedy corporations, and fear of outsiders. Solarpunk is all about putting people first and recognizing the amazing connection between human intelligence and the Earth. One of the major influences on Solarpunk is Art Nouveau. This art movement is all about embracing organic and earthly shapes, and it fits perfectly with Solarpunk's vibe. Another cool reference for Solarpunk is the arts and crafts movement from the late 19th century. It was all about rebelling against unnecessary waste.
Have you ever wondered how cool buildings of the future are going to look? Well, hold on tight because artificial intelligence is here to revolutionize the world of architecture. AI is a great sidekick. It can give the architects incredible new tools to create mind-blowing structures that are not only stunning, but also eco-friendly and super efficient. So let's check what our beautiful future might look like. First of all, you know how cities can get crazy busy and overwhelming, right? Well, guess what? AI is here to save the day and make our cities super smart. Imagine you're cruising down the road in your flying car. Yes, we'll have those. Thanks to AI, the traffic flows like a dream. No more endless gridlock. The city knows where the most likely crime spots are and takes proactive steps to keep us safe. It's like having superheroes on every corner. And hey, forget about trash piling up. AI makes sure waste is managed efficiently, keeping our city clean and fresh. They can act as a city manager who can optimize everything from traffic to safety and even waste disposal. They can analyze tons of data from all sorts of places like sensors and social media. With all that information, they can help city planners make brilliant decisions that make our lives better. Okay, so you stroll down the street, and your eyes are instantly captivated by an extraordinary building. Its futuristic curves and features make it stand out from the rest. And it not only catches your eye, but also gives Mother Nature a high five. You might think it was designed by a genius architect, but little do you know it was actually a collaboration between humans and artificial intelligence. Imagine having a super smart design buddy who can whip up thousands of incredible building ideas in a blink of an eye. That's what AI-assisted design software does for architects. It can generate and assess a ton of design options. They take into account stuff like the best materials to use and the perfect placement for the building. Also, by analyzing data and crunching numbers, algorithms can help optimize the building's design. They can ensure it minimizes energy usage, conserves water, and manages waste like a pro. Every building strives to reduce costs, save energy, and promote a better world. The result? Architectural masterpieces that are both jaw-droppingly beautiful and super practical. The cityscape of the future will be dotted with these awe-inspiring structures. Oh, but that wasn't impressive enough for you? Well, how about a stunning, futuristic building that seems to defy gravity? It's not made of traditional bricks and mortar, oh no. This marvel was created using the powers of 3D printing. With the help of AI, architects designed every intricate detail and fed all the important data, like what materials to use and how the site conditions might affect the structure. AI algorithms worked their magic to optimize the design, making it both breathtakingly beautiful and rock solid. 3D printing is basically like having a magical machine that can create awesome structures straight out of a sci-fi movie, and AI jumps in to make sure these structures are not just pretty, but also strong. In the city of the future, 3D printing will become the ultimate architect's tool. It will allow them to create structures that were once impossible to build. From mind-bending shapes to intricate details, the possibilities are endless. But AI isn't just making buildings look great, it also makes them efficient and cozy. Let's say you step into a futuristic office building, and voila! The lights automatically adjust to match your mood, and the temperature is set perfectly for you. These futuristic buildings are capable of sensing and responding to their surroundings, just like you do. They control the lighting, keeping it just right for the time of day. They manage the temperature, so it's always cozy and comfortable. They even keep a watchful eye on security and fix small issues before they become big headaches. So, the smart building knows when people come and go, so it optimizes energy usage accordingly, saving the planet and some cash along the way. Now the cool thing is, all these aren't the only possibilities. How about turning skyscrapers into a vertical forest? Recently, an architect from India got super excited about the power of artificial intelligence. So, he decided to team up with an image bot called Midjourney to create a vision for the future. But instead of a dull, robotic world, they aimed for something spectacular. With text prompts like utopian technology and futuristic towers, the architect and AI got to work. Guess what? Midjourney didn't disappoint. It conjured up a world where buildings were covered in lush vertical forests and adorned with shapes inspired by nature. They wanted to create a sustainable future that harmonized with the environment. The architect, Manas Bhatia, is super positive about AI's potential. He doesn't see it as a threat to his job, but as a powerful tool for positive change. He envisions a future where architects and AI collaborate to make breathtaking designs. In his project, Bhatia even asked the AI to imagine symbiotic and hollowed structures, and it responded with pictures of apartments nestled within hollowed-out trees. Imagine a world where the building itself becomes a living, breathing part of nature. Well, Bhatia believes that nature should play a big role in architecture. He loves designing structures that embrace nature's beauty and functionality. From buildings built around trees to facades that regulate temperature, he's all about blending architecture with the natural world. With architects like Bhatia and the superpowers of AI, the future of cities is going to be amazing. So get ready to step into a world where nature and technology coexist in perfect harmony. It's a dream we can't wait to see come true. Or, if you're not a big fan of trees, how about this? Skyscrapers that aren't made of solid bricks, but instead, they're inflatable wonders. Zumo, an architectural practice in Barcelona, used the magic of AI to bring these wobbly structures to life. These inflatable superstructures rise above future cities like illuminated balloons in the sky. Here's the best part. These inflatable buildings have sustainability superpowers. You can pump them up to towering heights, flatten them for easy transportation, and rebuild them wherever they're needed. Plus, they're powered by renewable energy, reducing their impact on the environment. Pretty cool, right? Phew. The future is zooming toward us like a rocket. Artificial intelligence can become the secret sauce that makes architects' work extra special. But hey, with great power comes great responsibility. We need to use AI wisely and ethically. For now, we don't have to worry about machines replacing architects. Artificial intelligence still needs a human hand, or else we might end up with buildings that look like mashed up bananas or ice cream cones, unless that's your thing. In addition, humans have one important advantage. They, well, are humans. We need to keep in mind that artificial intelligence doesn't have emotional intelligence. It's a brainy genius, but it can't fully understand the feelings and vibes we humans crave in our spaces. So, we must remember to infuse our designs with that human touch, those warm and fuzzy elements that make us go, "Ah, I feel right at home." And let's not forget that AI is still learning. It's basically just taking its first steps, and we need to be patient and give it time to grow. Rushing things too quickly could lead to wonky designs or buildings that look like a jumbled puzzle. This might look cool if you like avant-garde architecture, but for regular folk, no thanks. So, as the future unfolds at warp speed, let's embrace the wonders of AI in architecture. But let's also remember to balance its brilliance with our own human touch. Together, we can create a future where buildings are not just functional, but also filled with heart and soul. It's an adventure that's out of this world.